Let's get started here. So, yesterday, what did we do? Yesterday, our process was we were working on, our goal was to create our first SEO agent our goal yesterday was to create our first agent using our new AI agent harness that we had vibe coded here on stream. And I think today we want to continue using that agent harness and we want to try creating new types of agents. So today specifically, what I'm looking at doing is creating something that will help me research YouTube videos. So I'm thinking about, I want to make agents that are actually benefiting people as a whole. So the only way that I could actually tell whether or not they're actually benefiting people is by actually using them myself day to day. So I think if I was able to say, hey, this agent is actually effective, this agent is actually doing what I want it to do, the only way that I could actually determine whether or not it's actually working is by actually using it every single day. So day in and day out. So obviously right now I am streaming on YouTube and I do want to create more videos that aren't live streams. So things that'll help grow the channel, things that'll help bring people to the community, things that'll help people just find out about it. And I don't really want to waste my time either. So I don't want to make videos that aren't going to be watched, that no one actually cares about. So my goal today is to make sure that I that I create an agent that can help me actually create good videos and helps me do an initial research phase for new videos. And I think one of the best things that we could probably do in terms of agent YouTube research is by having them do keyword research. I think that would probably be one of the most obvious places to start is when you go into YouTube, when you type in anything. So you'll see I have a lot of suggested videos here, but if I type something like AI agent, there's all of these suggestions here for different AI agent videos. And this is what people are actually searching for. They're actively looking for these topics. They're actively looking for videos about these topics related to AI agents. So I would say maybe something like AI agents explained or AI agents tutorials. These are all terms that people are going to be looking for. So this is how I can help get my channel discovered by the YouTube algorithm. So today I'm looking at AI agent Claude, N8N, ChatGPT, free AI agents. I think this is like a plethora of great YouTube video content ideas. So what I would like to do is I would like our agent to actually do this for me on my behalf. Obviously I could just look at AI agent and then there's like 15 videos I could probably make right here. But I think really it's also about finding like that root phrase, that phrase root, so that starting point. So maybe it's not AI agents. Maybe someone's looking up Claude Code or Claude Design. So Claude Code, Claude Design demo, Claude Design examples. You'll see that I actually did make a Claude Design video just a few days ago. And I think that if I had properly optimized my video, maybe I could have gotten more views. So that's what we're really looking forward to doing here is like creating an agent that could actually do things that are highly productive, and we can actually evaluate whether the work that it's doing is actually effective, whether it's producing any real results. Same thing with our SEO agent. We have actual metrics that we can measure our agent against. So whether or not an SEO strategy is effective is determined by how many conversions you get, how many views you get, how many people you get visiting your website, how many people are signing up for the product or service that you're marketing on your website. So yeah, that's where we're at today. We're just going to apply that same concept, that same methodology of creating agents that have a measurable target, a measurable goal, and evaluating their outputs manually and having the agents improve themselves over time. So let's get started. So we have our code directory here. So I already did start typing a prompt. So I want to build a new agent, a YouTube research agent, who can help identify interesting video topics, who understands my niche and my target audience using our ICP profile. And I was building out an ICP profile, but I don't really want to do that on stream today. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow, but let's just start with like something of a more simple approach to creating our first YouTube research agent. So if I just run this, it'll start building that agent for me in the background. And I would say also, I do have the ICP profile getting built by ChatGPT. I didn't really want to write it all out on my own, so I wanted Chat to kind of help out with that. But it has been running for roughly an hour or so, so I'm not really sure if that's like stalled or frozen or glitched out in some way. So we're just gonna let that continue running, I suppose, and see if anything else happens here. Okay, anyways, we'll let that run in the background. So once that's done, then maybe I can compare I can drag in the ICP profile into my documents for my agent knowledge area so that it knows kind of more about like our audience, so I don't have to tell it about the audience every single time. I don't have to tell it about the vision of ongoing AI. It'll just kind of know these things as it works. Okay, so it did say, I did have a typo here, so we are going to be doing, we have our agent harness already built, and we are looking to build another agent. We already built a SEO agent and want to flesh out more of a marketing suite of agents. So this is what I'm just trying to tell it, like kind of where we are now, what we're looking for today, what we've accomplished so far, and kind of like give it an idea of like where we're headed as well. So it can, like, if it determines that it wants to create a memory or like store some information, it can have that information available for the future, kind of like to guide it long term, So like we are going to be building out more marketing agents long term. And our niche and our audience. So we have a vision.md file that you can reference for more info about our niche and our target audience. Can be determined based on our values document. All right, and then what data sources should it pull from? Let's do YouTube search, YouTube trending videos, specific channels, maybe nothing specific, no specific channels yet. That should be something that is discovered over time automatically by our agent. Google Trends will be later. Google Trends, Reddit, etc. are out of scope for this agent. And then our own video comments, well, we don't really have a lot of activity yet, so comments on videos is helpful, but not for our videos necessarily. On videos is a good idea, but we still are a new channel, so we don't have a lot of comments to pull from yet. We still are a new channel, so we don't have many comments to pull from yet. And then API keys, no API keys yet. Let's do what we can with scraping and let's see how it goes. Let's see how far that gets us. Okay, cool. So we're going to be using these public signals for searches. We're going to be using these signals for like trending topics and channels that are ideally like within our that kind of are targeting the same ICP. So people that are looking at the same, I guess, ideal customer profile. That's kind of what that means. So if we're able to find channels that have the same target audience, we can kind of see what they're doing to kind of service their audience and like serve their audience with new content. And that's really where we're headed right now, is we're just looking for like something to map out a general picture of how, like, of what these evolutions are in YouTube, because YouTube and search itself aren't like these static landscapes. They are constantly evolving, and so will our agent need to as well. Our agents will need to adapt and learn and like create memories over time and like understand like what's changing, what's new, what's trending, and it should be able to take that information and like help you apply that to your channel and like help you kind of stay ahead of the curve or like stay on trend and like kind of understand like how the algorithm's changing, how user intent is changing, what's happening over time. So we're waiting for this to finish out now. So let's just give that a second to start with the with that YouTube agent build out. So we'll see that here's the SEO agent that I built out yesterday. And here are some of the tools that it has. So for each agent that gets built, they can have their own custom tools, and these are all written in Python. And you can see that it can fetch URLs, it can summarize pages, it can take the sitemap for a page, it can take a look at like other SEO signals like JSON-LD. And these are all like important points that you could probably code out by hand, but like with the agent having access to all these tools, it isn't just like extracting these signals, it's actually taking the signals and making sense of it and turning that into actionable feedback, actionable insights. So it will learn, it'll adapt, and it'll like know what tools to reach for in what situation. So you're not really like guessing. You're not really having to interpret all of this data on your own. You're actually able to have like high, like it's almost like if someone went through and like went through a website, took screenshots of everything, took a look at their source code, try to find like where their weaknesses were, and it generated a report. And it's like if someone took all this information and manually did it for you. We're able to now do that with agents being built automatically with Claude Code. So this is like really where the world is moving towards. So like people are going to be building more and more of their own agents that are kind of like ad hoc and like purpose built like for specific smaller tasks. Then you're going to have agents that are like managers, like in a traditional like hierarchy for like a company or an organization, or like even like a non-business setting like the military or something. Like you have hierarchy, then you have people below them, and then sometimes those people below them will have their own people below them. So that would be like our top level agent that manages multiple sub agents, and that just goes all the way down the chain. But I think each agent having its own specific responsibility is really where the puck is going. So like you have these like real specialized, like finely tuned agents that really do so either a small task or like a set of tasks, and it does it really, really well. Just like you probably would within, like at an organization, like, for example. So like you wouldn't really have your programmer also managing your accounting. You wouldn't have your designer, hiring, janitors or something. Like everyone has their own responsibilities, and like when they kind of deviate too much, you're not gonna. It's really difficult to have like a generalist, So like the generalists are really more of like a management role, and then the specialists are going to kind of sit below these like more generalist management agents. So right now what we're doing is we're building out more specialists. So this guy in particular, this agent in particular, is specifically just for YouTube. This isn't something that's also researching Google or Reddit or X.com, for example. So it looks like it did its first pass on our YouTube agent. So we are going to have the channel auto discovery, which is really great. We are going to have issues potentially that I highlighted with scraping. So data structures change occasionally. Parsers may need to update and have touch-ups. Okay, that's fine. And then comments. You said new channel, not much to pull from. I'll leave out a comments tool entirely for V1. That sounds good. That sounds good. Let's start with that. So that's a good place to start here. And then if you look at the API for this, we can see that, let me bring this up here. So if I typed Claude Code, these are the searches that are actually happening right here, I believe. Or is it not? So here are some of the API responses. Cool. We'll let that run for a little bit while it continues. But that's kind of like how it would work, is like it would actually call in the YouTube search function, and then it pulls in the suggestions. It gets ideas of like, it'll create that list of these suggested keywords, and that's really what we're going to be using to kind of generate our search suggestions, our YouTube agent here. So you can see it's getting built out now under the YouTube agent. And then I think we might actually want to create another spec just for this specific agent. I think ideally what we're going to be looking at is, I would like to eventually just have the agents get built just with a single prompt, because it looks like we're running into a lot of like overlap, I guess. So we have it all really boils down to that prompt, and then so I think the more that we can simplify this, the better, the easier it would be to build agents in the future. So we would need to probably remove a lot of this stuff, and then like have the tools be more generic and reusable across the agents. So tools like, YouTube search and YouTube trending, these are kind of specific to this particular agent. But if we were to look at, let's close that. If we were to look at the prompt for the agent, let's see. Here's the actual prompt. Wait, where is our prompt? Well, let's look at the SEO agent, since that one's actually completed. So these are like, I guess, sub prompts. So the worker agent, the planner agent, and the evaluator prompt. So these are all like sub capabilities of the agent. So I'm wondering if that's how it is here as well. So that's under roles, evaluator, planner, and worker. So I'm not seeing that coming in yet. So maybe it just hasn't been processed yet. That's what we're looking at. Okay. So if you look at our SEO agent, you can see that it has like different prompts for each phase of the agent's process. So we have an evaluation step, a planning step, and then a worker step. So the worker, it looks like the worker is the one that's actually like, so you have the planner agent that sits at the top, and then below that you have a worker agent and an evaluator agent. Then that worker agent and that evaluator agent both kind of work in a loop continually. So what the planning agent will do is it'll say, hey, here's the goal, here's the target of what we're trying to do right now, and like here's who you are, here's what you're trying to emulate, here's the task that you're trying to accomplish. And the planning agent will send a plan over to the worker agent. The worker agent will take a first attempt at it, whether it decides it needs to, let's say, visit a website, summarize a page into plain text, try to get an idea of what a website or a web page is about. It'll take that information and then it'll say, based on the plan, based on what we're trying to do, here's what I think the best course, the best results are for your plan, right? And it'll take that plan, that plan data and that output data, and it'll pass it along to our evaluator agent. That evaluator agent will then compare the plan, the original plan, to the actual output of the worker. So like because we're still in that first cycle, we're still at the worker stage, the worker is going to pass that data along to the evaluator agent. The evaluator agent will then take that information, compare it to the plan, compare it to the desired output, and decide how confident it is whether or not that the worker agent has just accomplished the goal. And then that confidence is set with a threshold. So if the evaluator's agent has a certain threshold of confidence that it is either set for itself or is set dynamically, it will say, does this output match or exceed the target confidence that I had? Will it pass the bar? Will it pass muster? Does it actually accomplish the goal that we set out for it? And then whether or not that goal is completed or not, if it's not, the evaluator agent will kick it back to the worker. The worker will say, all right, here's the score that we have, here's what we actually accomplished. The evaluator agent might even then pass in additional context to the worker that it thinks it might need. So maybe it'll say, hey, like, based on what you did, we think that you need to also add in additional information. We would need this additional information to get added in. Here's where I think you went wrong. Here's some improvements that we could make, etc. And then it'll give it all this extra context and pass it to the worker. And that process will continue over and over and over again until that threshold confidence is extremely high. It meets the threshold. It will say that, hey, we did accomplish what we set out to do. And then at that point, the evaluator agent will say, okay, this process is completed. And then now we can mark this job as done. So then it'll send that data wherever you want it to go. And that's kind of how an agent harness works at its core. And that's what our SEO agent does already. So like you can see here, this is our planning agent. So you are the planner. So the planning agent is the agent that only runs a single time. So it'll do a specific thing. So in this case, for our SEO agent, our SEO agent that we built with our AI agent harness, we are comparing the output and we're designing like the target like goal for our SEO analysis, and everything gets kind of like evaluated. Tasks are like given to the agent, and then the planning agent will then pass it along to the worker. The worker takes the task list. It'll then create its own output. It'll give itself rules that it has within the prompt. The prompt will generate those rules, and then it'll know what tools it has available. So like such as fetching a sitemap, fetching a URL for a home page, other pages maybe. And then it'll take evidence and it'll create draft outputs, and then that gets passed along to our evaluator agent. And the evaluator will do like evaluate that SEO audit. So it's like an initial audit, and then that audit continues to get improved over and over and over again. And then it'll score it. So here's our scoring criteria, and then here's the rules for the SEO agent. So let me do a word wrap here. So we can see like the evaluator is going to be scoring based on criteria that appears in our success criteria.json, which I'm looking for. I'm not really sure where that exists, but I think that's the one that was that's the data that was generated by the planner agent. And then it'll also then decide whether or not it's passed, it has failures, or whether it needs additional feedback. And then it'll tell the worker what it should change when it's doing the next revision. The worker will read from the feedback, and it'll be specific and actionable, not just looks fine. And then the output format is like designed to be formatted a certain way using JSON formatting. So in this case, like for the SEO signals, this is some of the ways, like some of the tools that the SEO agent has. So it's extracting things like JSON LD or, HTML markup, additional HTML markup such as meta descriptions, the H1. So like on a page, usually like, let's see. So if I go to Claude.com, let's just do Anthropic blog, for example. We'll look at their blog. So you'll see usually on an HTML page, you'll see that there's the H1 that's usually like the parent heading. So that's usually like the strongest indicator of like on-page like goals for your website. So like it'll tell Google, and like it'll help guide Google towards understanding what a page is particularly about. All right, let me take a quick peek at our YouTube agent here. So we added a new, let's see. Okay, so I would like it to actually run a search for topics. Learn what you can from our site, https ongoing.ai, and our vision.md file. I don't know if it's available here. I think in vision.md. So right now I'm having Claude Code do an initial test run of our new YouTube agent that we built out. And you can see all the changes that were created here as well. So in our new YouTube agent, we now have our evaluator, our planner, and our worker agent all completed. And each of these are essentially like smaller agents or smaller processes that run within the YouTube agent itself. So these are like sub prompts, like smaller prompts that exist within the agent. So in our case, it starts off with the planner. The planner agent will kind of guide the initial job for our YouTube research agent, and then that'll get passed along to our worker, and then now starts the loop of that evaluation loop of running a prompt, taking input data, running tools, checking the output of those tools, formatting the output to the expected structure, and then it'll pass that along to our evaluator agent, and the evaluator agent will take that info that was passed back to it, and it'll determine whether or not the worker agent needs to continue running. So these are essentially like, the way that I like to view them is I kind of think of them as like smaller sub agents that exist within our specialized agents. So these are like really like finely tuned parts of that loop, the agentic loop there. And then I think if we were to, let's just try seeing if we could find here. So like agentic AI loop. Let's just see if we could find an illustration of this. So that's not complete. Let me look some more further. This is kind of more accurate compared to like what we're doing right now. So the planner agent, in our case, doesn't really get planned every single time. So we do have that agent that does the work, and this isn't really quite accurate either, in my opinion. And none of these really convey it clearly, in my opinion. So maybe I could have chat kind of describe it a little bit better. So yeah, you know what I'll do is I'll have Claude do it, because it already has access to our actual agent harness. Can you describe the loop for our agent harness? Try to output it as an ASCII format to illustrate the flow of data. So while it's building in and running our YouTube agent, I'm going to also have Claude just tell me like a bit more what it thinks about the agent harness loop, and how the AI agentic loop actually functions within our current agent harness that we built. Yeah, this is, the loop has 3 states: success, unaccepted, and error. And then what each loop within our agentic loop does is, so it's missing, what is this? You know what I'll do is I'm gonna actually pass this to Chat GPT, because it's been kind of like kept up to date with what we're doing here on building our agent harness. So can you tell me whether this is an accurate representation of our agent loop for our AI agent harness that we are building? Oops. So I'm actually going to take this feedback that the agent gave us on the harness, that Claude Code gave us on the agent harness, and I'm going to start trying to apply this to a process of improving our agent. So looks like we stopped here at number 9. So I'm going to continue with this. I'm just putting each of these on their own line. I'm going to send this over to ChatGPT to see what it thinks about whether this feedback on improving is actually valid or not, and to prioritize what feedback we should spend our next chunk of time on. So I'm just putting all of these on a new line. Sure. Improving. Okay. So it looks like we are running into, I think, a valid issue here. The first one that I'm just seeing off the top of my head is there's no shared HTTP client. Both agents have a local http.py with user agent plus timeouts. 3 agents in, and this becomes 3 places to fix the same UA string, the user agent string. A harness.http with per agent override for UA cookies is warranted. These tool results aren't truncated before hitting the LLM. YouTube channel can return 40 videos in 15 fields, a few kilobytes. Fine, but YouTube video returns the full description up to 5 kilobytes. And fetch URL returns up to 500 kilobytes of HTML in the SEO agent. If the worker reuses that result in later turns, it stays in context forever. Truncation or content hash and summarize it save a lot of tokens. Okay. I think this is actually really good. And then 3 role prompts per agent. Most of them are 80% boilerplate. The worker scaffolding, the tool markdown extraction, work log appending, and failure handling branch is near identical between SEO and YouTube. A base worker with hook methods for the system prompt and draft extraction would cut each new agent's worker file to around 30 lines. Same for the evaluator's score threshold logic. That is true. I see a lot of boilerplate when I'm moving between the different agents, so a lot of that could probably get extracted and reused across different agents. And then per agent input schemas, the shared schemas input.schema JSON was SEO shaped, requiring domain, additional properties, faults, and adding a second agent immediately broke validation until I relaxed it. The harness should resolve agent package schema's name .schema.json first. Fall back to the shared one right now. The schemas directory is hard coded to harness schemas. So it was saying here that fixing number 1 and number 2 together, they remove 2 friction points that hit within 5 minutes of adding a second agent before you add a third. Then number 2 is the .env autoloading. Python.env call and harness.cli.py removes a footgun. So now we have that for the future if we want to do anything with this. I will have it now also score the actual value from this. So I think it all sounds pretty good, but I do want to have like a scoring for this. Let's see, escape to dismiss. Oh, it looks like it did. Let's see. Okay, so I was saying I should make a Claude design video, which is awesome. I didn't really tell it anything about Claude design, so that's pretty cool. The intermediate live builder layer is wide open. Every breakout Claude Code video is titled for beginners or targets no coders. Nick Sarave owns the new feature drops. I don't think I've heard of them. Let me see. Cool. So this guy does like crash courses on Claude, setting it up, sub-agents, agent teams, context. Looks pretty cool. Let's see what he has here. Yeah, it looks like he's doing pretty good. Let's see what else. So Rave's editor explainer pulled 189K views in 10 days. So a live build, I guess. Let's see. Claude Routines just dropped and it's perfect. I think that's this one. Yeah, Claude Routines live build. They're cool, so I'm gonna follow everyone here. So it recommends Cole Medin, so I'm gonna subscribe to him. I'm actually subscribe to all these people here. So Cole Medin, subscribe, and then most technically rigorous, weekly cadence, open daily layer, Nick Sarave, real-time anthropic feature signals, BridgeMine AI. Numbered daily streams. I'll subscribe to all these people. BridgeMind plus Alex Finn official. There's a lot of people here. Cool. OpenClaw videos. OpenClaw, that's cool. And then Simon Scrapes. Build agentic systems that run your business. That's cool. I want to see more of these types of videos popping up in my algorithm. Ray Fernando. Cool. Yeah, we'll just give all these guys a subscribe. So I did that. Ship as evergreen videos. Okay. What the agent discovered, the strongest signal across all seed searches is the intermediate live builder layer. Every breakout Claude video is titled for beginners or targets no coders. Nick Sarave owns new feature drops with produced explainers. So this is pretty cool because I think it's all about framing the outcome to a specific type of user. So in our case, what we're aiming for is people that are vibe coding, but it seems like I should either target somewhere along that like skill level or experience level, not necessarily skill, but experience, I would say. So whether they're like fresh to Claude Code, whether they're fresh to vibe coding, whether they're like new to coding in general or intermediate or advanced. So I think maybe I'll probably need to build out a couple beginner videos. I do think that's a great idea, especially with how all of this, all of these evolutions are moving for the vibe coding space. This is actually really helpful already. So I was originally just targeting like vibe coding and like live vibe coding, but I think that this is actually pretty spot on. BridgeMind runs daily streams, but for non-coders, nothing fills the gap. Daily live Claude Code builds for developers who already code. So this is kind of like conflicting a little bit. Oh, it says intermediate live coding. So start for beginners or targets no code. Nothing fills the gap of daily live Claude Code builds for developers who already code. See, I think that isn't like, it's kind of tough because you don't really know until you actually try to with a lot of these things. So I like building for developers who already code. I don't know. I think it's worth trying. I think what might make sense is actually trying a variety of these types of videos and seeing if something kind of resonates, I guess. So if anything actually kind of connects. So maybe trying like a beginner one, an intermediate one, and then one targeted specifically towards existing developers who are just getting familiar with Claude Code. I mean, there is a lot of information there that I just didn't know when I was starting with Claude Code, so maybe there is something to that. I like that it pulled out these channels. I just subscribed to all of them, and then so it's talking about now improvements that it made to our agent harness. One schema change I made mid-run. The harness's shared agent schema had SEO assumptions baked in, required domain that blocked every non-SEO agent. I loosened it up to required goal and then additional properties true. SEO's domain field is still pattern validated when present. One line change backward compatible with the SEO agent. I think this is also good. I might take this. And put that in the document I was working on. All right. So here's the changes that it made to our overall agent here. Here's what it was talking about, the changes that it made. Users supply parameters for one harness run. Only goal is required at the harness level. Agents are free to require additional fields via their own prompts and per agent schemas. Additional properties is true. Okay. Required. So this is for the SEO thing. Okay. SEO agent strategic output. Okay. Can you also build a spec out? Okay. Commit where we are now. And then build out a spec as well for our YouTube agent. And add specs. Cool. going to do a refactoring as well now that we have the YouTube agent completed and tested. So I'm going to run through here and then give Claude the goal of building out a refactor or performing a refactor. One schema change run. Okay. Can you also score each point in that agent harness? Is it not popping up? Okay. And, oh, it's in here. Docs, agent, harness, improvement, notes.mv. From 0 to 10 on impact. 10 is the most impact. So I think what it comes down to with these agents is making them easier to build and easier to use, and then removing a lot of like this added duplication, this all this unnecessary duplication. And then I think that I should be able to spin up spin up new marketing agents specifically. So my whole goal with our agent harness has been kind of like moving towards growing our channel, growing the community of vibe coders and builders. So I think that long term, what I'm looking forward to doing is just having people be able to build their agents. I think that would be really great. Using ongoing AI, that'd be pretty awesome. Or at least just using them myself day to day, and then like getting a lot of value out of it every single day. So I think that our agents are kind of moving along in the right direction. So I am going to need to just simplify. I think that's really where I'm at. That's what I'm seeing here, especially in the suggestions from Claude Code. It said that we're going to need like I think it's just going to be a lot easier like to just simplify, and then I think there'll be a lot less boilerplate. It'll be easier to debug each agent. Each agent will also get more and more powerful the more that we simplify. So I think that's really what we got to do here for sure. This is awesome. Let's take this whole thing. Cool. Well, I think that's going to be it for today. So we did accomplish what we were hoping to set out to do today, which was building out our YouTube marketing agent. And I think that I'm pretty happy with the output on just around an hour long stream today. So we built today, what we did today was we figured out how to improve our agent harness, and we have a strong point where we can pick up and a lot of opportunities to improve here. And I gave everything here a score. So our agent here, Claude Code and ChatGPT, both working together, were able to identify a lot of opportunities to improve within our agent harness. And then I think with our output here for our YouTube agent, where is it? Yeah, I'm not seeing it right now, but it should have like an output call here. Let me look real quick. So it's telling me to follow, what is it, Claude Code? Let me see. It should pop up in my output. Yeah, I'm not seeing that it got stored. Huh. Anyways, it was able to actually perform it, and then is it in here? Artifacts. Okay, it's going to be in here. That's what I was just looking in the wrong directory. So our artifacts for our output here. So this is something that Claude Code was able to pull up for us, or actually our new YouTube agent was able to pull up for us, and we built this agent with Claude Code, and now we're beginning to see the shape of a marketing team of agents being built out just in under an hour at a time, an hour or two at a time, we're able to accomplish so much just with Claude Code, and we're able to get some real world use cases out of this, and it's actually shaping up to be something that's looking to be pretty good so far. So pretty happy with the direction that we're going, and if you want to see more streams like this in the future, be sure to like and subscribe this video, and thanks for watching today, and I hope to see you guys